What if everything you thought was too late? Too late to change your diet, too late to move again without the pain, too late to feel vibrant and alive. Wasn't really true at all. Today's guest, affectionately known as Mama Yoga, is 61 years old, 60 pounds lighter, and living proof that vitality is our birthright at any age through any season. But before we dive into this episode, you know what time it is. Vibe with me, y'all.
Welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast.
Welcome to the Good Vibe Studio, Mama Yoga.
Hey, Jovonnie, what's up, sister love?
Nothing much. Man, Mama Yoga is so happy to have you here. So you radiant and you thriving and you 60 plus, but you're very open about your transformation. So can you take us back to the moment when you knew it was time to reclaim your wellness?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to vibe with you and your community. And you're just lovely, darling. You talk about radiant. I'm going to throw that back to you, because you're just doing the darn thing, and we're cheering you on for
Thank
all
you.
the best for your endeavors. So, as a wellness coach and as somebody who has been enthusiastic about her health and well-being, for quite more than half my life. Once my hormonal menopausal dynamic kicked in, things changed. I was like, oh, what is going on? And, I had a series of life events happen. So my hormonal profile changed. I had been a vegan for the majority of my life. And I also had the life experience of my mom. The whole front line of our family lineage all passed within 3 years. So my mom, her sisters, my aunt's husband, they all passed like within 3 years of each other. And our family, were caregivers for them. We didn't place them in facilities and things like that. So it just took a lot of energy and direction and focus, which as people do, you can't juggle everything. So I focused on the healing for my family as opposed to my own body changes and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, as Mama Yoga, I was still doing yoga and my meditations and my, daily healing rituals. But the tweak needs to happen when your hormonal profile changes in menopause.
Mama Yoga, first of all, kudos to you for being intentional about showing up for family and being caregivers. Because, like you said, sometimes people place that are unable to have the time capacity to be able to truly show up and be present to care for family and loved ones. So kudos to you all for that. But I also love that you said, I still maintain my daily healing rituals. Take us back to a time where you had to learn what those rituals were to even make them a part of your daily healing. And because of all the hormonal changes, did you ever have any experiences with endometriosis, fibroids, PCOS, any of those things prior to going through that shift or that change in life?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. The practices and the healing rituals that I use came out of my study as a Osirian, right? A traditional African spiritual community. Of course, prior to then, and I'm going back to 30 plus years, 35, 36 years ago. Prior to then, my rituals was regular, every African American, everyday, street stuff. But when I came into spiritual culture, I learned about meditation. I learned about the capacity of the body to heal itself. I learned about feeding the body from natural God given, you know, the way it grew up out of the ground is the way you should consume it. The way God fashioned it is the way that it should be consumed. And so I learned about those types of rituals that are still with me today, those healing practices that are still with me today. Now, coming into that lifestyle, I did suffer from fibroids. And on my healing journey with fibroids, I came to understand that, you know, fibroids, metaphysically, spiritually, there is a vibration with each dis-ease, right? There's a imbalance of vibration that accompanies each illness in a person. So what I came to understand about having fibroids is that the creative capacity of the woman is blunted. And so the spirit walls it off. The physicality of the body walls it off. I'm sorry. I put my phone on do not disturb. I can't talk right now. I'll call you back. Sorry about that, y'all. It's my grandbaby and my daughter are the only ones who can get through on do not disturb, and they got through. So sorry about that. I do
all
apologize.
good. That's all good. I love
all right.
it. So the creative capacity of the woman is blocked.
And the body walls it off from we talking metaphysical, spiritual, into these tumors, these these tumors, these knots in your womb, because the womb is the place of bringing forth what you create, right? So I went through that journey in my meditative practice. The spirit gave me a vision of a healer to come to me. And I knew who the person was. And the healer moved into my home and worked on me every weekend for 2 months. And he was a magnificent massage therapist and just an ancient intuitive healer. And he worked on my womb, worked on my capacity to quiet the nervous system, because that's another thing. We women, especially Black women, foundational Black women, African American women, we are on, ready, set, go. And there's a lot of aggression and, forcefulness that we are bringing forth that doesn't allow us the space to nurture our parasympathetic nervous system, the calming, regenerative, quieting, healing aspect of our physicality and thus our metaphysical capacity. So he worked on that, and he gave me, I went through healing rituals and practices to help reduce that. And sure enough, by the third weekend he was with me, I turned to my side and I felt a roll. I felt something roll as I turned on my side. And sure enough, all the fibroids were loose that high. I had my womb was full of fibroids, and they were loose because of the work he was doing. Now, ultimately, I did have to have surgery. I had a myomectomy. I didn't have a whole hysterectomy or anything like that. In fact, at that time, and this was 1999, which is almost 30 years ago, 20 years ago. At that time, the doctors were moving away from just, okay, hysterectomy. They were saying, okay, listen, we can scoop those fibroids out like, pulling pecans out of butter pecan ice cream, which was a lovely image. I was like, I love butter pecan ice cream. Okay, so anyway, that was my journey. And from there, I learned that, eating raw, mostly raw, or at least a very, very 90%, 95% plant-based diet, as least cooked as possible, was very nourishing and beneficial to my person. But here's the thing about the current state of veganism, and if I could just share, most vegans, and again, I've been, I was a vegan when everything tastes like cardboard, and styrofoam, and you couldn't find the Whole Foods nowhere, child. You just had to do, and then some people, through my spiritual community, we created vegan soul food. because we just was not having it, you know? So, but what I find is, unfortunately, a lot of practitioners of a vegan lifestyle are eating way too many types of processed food. The chips, the carbohydrates, you know, the fried potatoes or what have you, and then all of these what are known as analog meats, you know, the hamburgers that's not hamburger, the chicken that ain't really chicken. What is, like, how do you get a bean to become that? And so at this stage, like a tofu, like soybean, how you get a soybean to chew like a chicken? It's like it's ultimately processed. And through my meditations and commitment to my health ritual practices, Spirit was like, just eat it the way I grew it. Just eat it the way, even if you're going to have chicken or fish or whatever, find the most natural, unmolested component to your wellness that you can consume. But all is, you know, analog process. What is this? So I found that, we have to make some adjustments in these dynamics that we're consuming if we really want our health and wellness to be top notch.
Gotcha. And there were some things that you touched on that I kind of want to go back to and ask you a few questions about and hit on those things. But real quick, got a question for you. So are you tired of reading every label at the grocery store just to end up with plant-based products that still leave you bloated, sluggish, or stuck in the cycle of inflammation, that fight or flight mode? My plant-based alternatives guide makes it easy. Inside, I share my go-to swaps for everyday foods, from snacks to sauces that support hormone health, reduce inflammation, and still taste so good. Think it. It's time to swap out your grains, your vegetables, your fruits. Eat more whole foods. So go ahead and grab your copy, 4vibrations.com, or check the show notes and stop guessing what's actually good for you and know what's actually good for you. Go get you an empowered plate. So Mama Yoga, we talking about this molested processed foods that people are eating so much of, thinking that it's a alternative or is better than all the other foods, meats, and things that they're consuming, but it's really not. And so knowledge is definitely power. And you have to really listen to your body, be in tune. Like you said, you went on your journey, you figured out this is not how I want to eat. This is not it. But I also remember Mama Yoga, and I don't know if this is part of you being in your community, but I remember you telling me about you being home and you cooking collard greens differently than how we used to grow up eating collard greens, because both of us are from the South. What was it that allowed you to be able, was it in that community when you started doing things differently, healing, being exposed to different stuff, going on your own journey that helped change your lifestyle, and then you brought it back to your family? And then why did you choose to have the myomectomy surgery after you were already starting to see those fibroids loosen, starting to see those holistic practices start to improve and connect you to your body?
Yeah, so let's take the last question first, right? The myomectomy. Okay. So what I've come to understand, being, there's a saying that says, you teach so that you can learn. You know, the best teachers are those who are actually embodying what it is that they're teaching, because they're learning as well and sharing what they're learning along the way. That's really what it is, right? So on that healing journey of my womb health and the myomectomy, and understanding how to calm my repair system, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, right? It came clear to me that our natural ways of healing, right? God has given us every single thing we need to be successful on this earth. We are not put down here on this earth to just, survive and try to figure out how to do it. We are equipped to succeed. That's my life philosophy. I have absolutely every single thing I need. However, natural remedies are better at preventative care. You got to get ahead of a horse trying to get out of the barn. You know, when you live in a society that is all 100% toxic, you know, especially this land that we live in and this construct we live in, known as the Western world, is 100% toxic. So this natural creation has not evolved enough to the point where ridding those toxins is as efficient as it needs to be. So we do our best to stay ahead of these things by using natural remedies and all this first. But if there is an acute condition, you want to keep it from becoming chronic by sometimes you have to incorporate alchemical or Western medicine. Sometimes you do. But my philosophy, I just want to finish the stream of thought. My philosophy is do what you need to do in the Western medicine dynamic and then move as quickly as you can back to or incorporate natural remedies and medicinals.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you spoke on that, and I wanted you to, because so many people are like, no surgery, no surgery, no surgery. You can do this holistically. No. You can do this holistically, which again, you can, because it's your journey. Like this That's conversation is just to let you know what our different journeys are and to empower you to make a decision and know that you have choice. That is why it's called the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. And it's my healing, it's my journey, it's Mama Yoga healing, it's Mama Yoga journey. But I too, Mama Yoga, chose surgery because I wanted to know what was going on in my body. So that deep radiating pain that about took me out while I was driving, that was not normal. It was something I never experienced before, and I was scared. I didn't know what was happening. Yeah. And so when I went to the ER, they started to do imaging. There was a large cyst on my right ovary. I had no idea I had a large cyst on my right ovary or anything that was growing. And it must have ruptured, which caused that pain. And so this whole investigation to start figuring out what is going on with me that led to stage 4 endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and then 2 small fibroids at the time of my surgery. I didn't know I had any fibroids. Had they not gone in, I wouldn't have known what was going on inside of my body to then come back out of this thing and say, now what can I do to change my lifestyle and holistically live a life to where I'm not stuck on medication all day, every day. And if you have to be on medication, take it until you can get off it to find those other natural sources of getting what your body needs. And so it was that journey for me. And I'm okay with it because I want to know what's going on so I can be more empowered and make decisions that align with what's going on inside of my body. We get so caught up in living life on the outside that is very few times that we learn how to connect with what's going on the inside of our body, or even know how to treat our body, because it's not things that we were raised on or taught. Like even in health class and in school, they're just telling you what's happening with your body, but they're not necessarily telling you how to align with those things. We didn't have meditation class in health. That would have been nice. And now there are teachers that are bringing in mindfulness practices inside of schools, and school experiences. But like you said, we're so taught to just keep pushing through the cycles of life, pushing through the toxic culture of family, of community, of society, that no one's telling us we can slow down, we can pause, we can breathe, we can be with our body, you know, and that's something that we don't hear enough of. And so like I really wanted you to ask that. It was almost like a little alley hoop so we can come back and slam dunk it down, because I really wanted us to be able to kind of shift some thoughts, some feelings, and beliefs around how do we navigate care in the Western culture, but also still maintain that grounding, natural approach, that holistic approach to still being able to live, knowing that it goes right back to lifestyle and how we're choosing to make choices about our life. And so let's get into those collard greens and that lifestyle and how you were able to really embrace it. Because some people say it's hard, Mama Yoga. When you had collard greens a certain way for so long, if you saw a soul food, you remember your community creating plant-based soul food. When you had soul food a certain way so long, it's hard to shift those thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about what your plate should really look like and what it should really taste like. Take us through that shift and that transition.
Well, you know, you hit on some great points there, Jovonnie. And in terms of the food that we eat. Let's look at it, let's kind of dissect it a little bit, right?
Okay.
When you have a steak, let's just talk there. You're not going to pick the steak up and eat it just like raw. You're not even going to flip it around on the fire and warm it up a little bit and it's still red in the middle. People who eat the steak that way reach for garlic, salt, pepper, shallots, parsley. The vegetables are what you are really trying to consume. When my grandmother used to make, and again, growing up in a Southern household, even though I was raised in North Trenton, shout out Trenton, T-Town. Even though I was raised in the North, I was raised by Southern parents with a Southern moral base, right? And a Southern etiquette. When she would make food, the meat was incidental. When she made a pot of stew, the chicken was not, you wasn't trying to eat chicken, you were having a pot of stew with carrots and onions and celeries and blah, blah, blah. So when we change our diet, replace the fat that would go into a pot of greens from a neck bone or a ham hock or whatever with olive oil. You can replace, these things and let the vegetables marinate together. And that's what I did. And coming from a Southern family, it was blasphemy, child, not to want my grandmother's macaroni and cheese or my mama's 7-Up cake or whatever. It was blasphemy. They was like, oh, Lord, our baby in a cult.
Just made my mouth water on that 7-Up cake. Those 7-Up cakes hit differently, especially Thanksgiving.
Oh, they do. So after a while, I won't belabor the point, but after a while of going to family events and bringing all my own food, entree and sides, because, they had every kind of domestic beast you could think of up on the table, and I was like, okay, we're not doing that. And my daughter and, my maid, I've cooked for us. I noticed that if I didn't put food aside for us, our food would be gone. Like the family would be eating all of the vegan food that I'll be like, how? So I had to learn to put food aside. And then my grandmother called me. She says, I want you to bring me a pot of greens. I brought her a pot of greens, and she and her girlfriends, they was having a ladies meeting or whatever, they was sitting around. It was Bible study at the house, I put the greens on the stove, heated them up. I had some jasmine rice. Just bought food for my mother dear, And honey, them Southern women was licking their fingers. Do you hear me? They were like, oh, they call me my birth name, Angie. Girl, what you do to these greens? Let me see if you missing any toes. Ain't no meat in these greens, y'all. Ma, we call my grandmother Ma. Like Ma dear, but Ma. I just put, it's just a little olive oil, onions, garlic, and seasonings. Sometimes I put green peppers, red peppers, or whatever. So that was, and even to this day, we just had our family cookout on Sunday, Sunday. And I was tasked with bringing the greens, the string beans, the corn on the cob, because they know, and I didn't go home with anything. It was just cleaned out. So people want it, but people just don't want. They're afraid to move out of the comfort zone, which is understandable. But you can do it.
Some people don't even know they're eating it because they're just eating good food. And so I've done that too. Like I've brought things to like school functions, and I didn't tell them it was plant-based. No, I'm plant-based, but it's it's what do you call it? Not crock pot. What is it?
Oh, potluck.
There you go. Potluck style, food. And I'm like, okay, let me get one of my favorite ladies, she cooks soul food. She has a soul food restaurant. I was like, let me get her to make me some gluten-free plant-based dressing, like cornbread stuffing or dressing, whatever you call it. And I get that, or I get some macaroni, and people just be eating, be like, oh, Ford, this is good. Thank you. And then I just make sure I get enough of my food. And I was like, well, y'all, it's plant-based. They was like, what? We got to get some more of this. And I think it's, as long as you have more experiences around the food being good, it's so much easier for people to shift their thought process around. Oh, I can have this a different way. It still tastes good and it's good for me. Like that's a big thing. But since we're on mindset shifts, Mama Yoga, especially women in midlife, why do they need to start to begin this journey with a mindset shift?
Well, everything starts in the mind. I did gave a talk, a post on my YouTube channel about my weight loss journey, and in meditation and reflection. Again, we had buried everybody. The family is organized. I'm tasked with the estate of the family. It was just like a lot, plus running my own businesses and everything. And now I'll say, okay, now you got to deal with this weight. Like I've never ever been this heavy in my life. Knees, everything is crying and in protest. And when I sat down to reflect on what shifts am I gonna make to undertake my healing journey at this stage of my life, because for me, everything is much better with God's help. And the way I access God is through my meditative prayer practices and my daily life, So I'm starting, if I'm going to undertake a new journey, I got to incorporate and, get the assistance of the most high energy. And so in meditation and reflection, and when I say meditation, I don't want people to be like, oh, I got to do all this woo woo. No, just carve out a few moments and just sit quiet, just for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and your spirit will speak to you, and you will intuitively have an answer about direction, right? And that's what I did. And what came to me was, I'm going to share this because I already shared it publicly, but I'm going to share this. I had an image of a woman, not necessarily me, but an image of a woman crying, saying, oh my God, I'm so fat, and shoving donuts in her mouth. Oh my God, I'm so fat. Why am I so fat? And reaching for a candy bar. Oh my God, I'm so fat. I don't know why I'm so fat. And then pulling like ho-hos and, apple pies and cakes and just shoving it all in her mouth. And that was my subconscious, if you will, or my spiritual connection saying, your mindset needs to shift. Like you can't be complaining about what is happening and not really taking the steps, Now I wasn't shoving apple pies and donuts in my mouth. Well, okay, maybe a little. Okay, maybe a little. Yeah, but maybe 60 pounds worth. I don't know, maybe a little. But first order of business is the way you think about what you are doing. And it's your mindset that must shift. Otherwise, the rest of what you're doing is not going to fall in line. Because truly, the way we think, what we think about who we are, and how we feel and believe who we are and what we deserve, and how we should move in life is all down to what we think. It's about mindset first. And that's the first order of business. Girl, get your mind right.
Right, that whole part right there. And that takes time too. Like it really does take time. Sometimes it takes education, sometimes it takes curiosity, sometimes it takes guidance, sometimes it takes empowerment, which is why we're here having the conversation, just so you know what's possible. But I really love the way you talked about it's the way you think about the things. And you really have to spend the time with really embodying the new thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that you're now having with this thing called life. And what I really enjoyed about the visual that you saw, even though it wasn't you shoving all of the things in your mouth and saying like, why am I so fat? Why are my knees and everything on my body protesting against me while I'm trying to navigate through this thing called life? What I really liked about it is that person was still making a decision to choose those things, to put those things in their mouth, choosing to say the things that was coming out of their mouth or what they believed about themselves, being in the state that they're in. And it didn't sound like they were at a curious state yet to figure out what is happening on the inside of my body that's making me want to eat these things, that's making me believe these thoughts about myself. And I think that's the time where you need to start really carving out grace, carving out time to really figure out how do I get back to loving myself, to where my decisions are aligning with the level of love and care that I know I deserve. And so I'm grateful that you said that everything starts in the mind, and that journey, the journeys that we were on. Yes, it might have had external factors that promoted us to being on this journey, being a caregiver, not putting ourselves first, not prioritizing ourselves, not valuing what we do have access to. But those situations allowed us to get on a journey, Mama Yoga, where we were able to love and care for ourselves in a way that we've never had before. And it took us getting into some different spaces and communities and listening to some different things and ways of life that we weren't exposed to prior to say, does this resonate with me? And is this something I want to embody? And then doing those things, Mama Yoga, we started feeling good about it. And our body started feeling good. We started thriving. And so then it made us want to do it even more, not because of culture, not because of the community doing the things, but because of how our body responded to it and how we liked the way our life started to look and shape and feel and be because of it. And so I'm really glad that you kind of walked us through that with the food, with the mindset, but you follow a brain protocol now and regular fasting. Can you share how that supported your weight loss and your overall wellness during menopause?
So yes, I want to share that, but I want to go back, if you don't mind, to what you said about grace and giving yourself grace. In this microwave society that we live in, people want everything overnight. Take this pill, take this shot, do these, this particular thing, that particular thing. But the reality of it is, it took me 2 years, almost 2 years, because of the mindset shift, because of the hormonal complex, change and everything. So, if you're speaking to very specific people who are your tribe, right? And who are hearing this, give yourself grace. It's okay. It's not, you didn't really get to the space that you want to change overnight. That is not how life, that is not biology, that is not metaphysics. It doesn't happen overnight like that. So give yourself grace. If you tumble or fall off whatever plan you said you were going to do, that's fine. Dust up, get back on it, and give yourself grace. Love yourself and be empowered, like we are sharing. And empowerment is a self-love, is a dynamic that you can realize, okay, so I kind of fell off the horse or whatever, but I'm getting back up on this thing because I love me. And I realize that in the journey is where all the magic happens. The destination is the bonus, right? So give yourself grace. It took me, like I said, I started, seriously with this weight loss journey, January 2023. And I was doing great. And what does Mama Yoga always do? SaMut, right? I'm not let's jump in. I don't know how to swim, but guess how I'm gonna learn how to swim? I'm gonna jump in the 10-foot thing and I'm gonna survive through it, right? I don't know all the dynamics of entrepreneurship, even though I've been a serial entrepreneur most of my life, right? So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna jump off the cliff and we're going to build the parachute on the way down. All right, SaMut, you 60 pounds overweight, never been this heavy before in your life. What you going to do? I'm going to go to CrossFit. Not go and do swimming so it's light on my joints. Not go and do a little, low impact aerobics. No, honey, you carrying your behind the CrossFit. Go to CrossFit because I do love that. I love the weightlifting. I love the circuits, where you're doing different things throughout, right? So I'm in CrossFit, doing good, 10 pounds in 3 months, doing good, 10 pounds, came off. Still heavier. Let me just say scientifically, for every pound you're overweight is 4 pounds of pressure, additional pressure on your knees. So if you're 60 pounds overweight, that is, what's that? 60 times 4 is what? 24. Hello, teacher Jovonnie. Educator. Let's do a simpler number since I can't think because I'm so excited, right? It's 4 pounds of pressure, additional pressure. Okay, so I'm doing the CrossFit and I'm down 10 pounds. And one day we had a routine that required 168 clean and jerks, which, again, I already talked about this on my show, so it's there. But anyway, it's heavy weights with squats. And I felt a twinge in the back of my knee. And I'm like, okay, I'm still doing it. So we doing this 168 times though, right? Anyway, I leave there, long story less long. By the time I get in my car and go home, I can't get out the car. My leg and knee is on fire. And it's so much pain. Again, long story less long, I end up tearing my meniscus. So I'd never had any injuries. I've run 10-mile races and foot races. I've got tennis championships. I've been an active woman, but not at this weight. Anyway, I got sidelined because I had to have my knee repair itself. The doctor said I didn't need any surgery. He never seen nobody with this great knees at my age or whatever. So just, stay off of it. So I had to repair my knee. That sidelined my weight loss. And then I got back in the spirit of things. So it's taken me just about 2 years to lose that weight, but you can never, ever, ever give up. One of the protocols that I included was a fasting regimen, right? So I did what's known as rolling fasts, where I would fast Sunday night from 7 p.m. till Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. And that's a 36-hour fast. Now, because I don't eat in the morning, when I wake up, I'm not hungry. I could have like a protein drink or something like that, or a smoothie. But even since I was a little girl, I can't do, big, heavy, starchy breakfast. I'd be catatonic all day. I'd be like this all day long, just catatonic. So I can have something small, an apple with hummus or something like that, and keep it moving. So because I don't have food in the morning, I would break my fast at 11 or 12 o'clock. So that then put me to 40 hours. So every 3 days I would fast. And by fasting, now we need a whole nother show because, the whole commentary and, the talking heads about fasting can really be very, I don't want to say misleading, but people are it's like veganism now. It's almost like, this aggressive culture, so, you can fast and you can fast using a vegetable broth, or you can fast using, even if you do consume meat, you can get a high quality bone broth and fast on that, and water, juice fasting sometimes is too much sugar for the body, because the whole point of losing weight is you want to reduce your body's resistance to the insulin that is not managing, right? Insulin is the fat storage hormone of the body. It tells the body you got to store fat, and fat on the body is for times of famine. It is a resource for when there's no food available, right? So years ago, when I was teaching health and healthy living, not just weight loss, but healthy living, my research indicated that the majority of people who are overweight are actually malnutrition because the body is not getting any nutrients out of what is being consumed, so it doesn't know what to do with it. It said, we'll just wall it off in a pocket of fat. We don't know what this is. What is this? The flaming Doritos that you light? I don't know what that is. So let's wall it off to protect the heart, the lungs, the liver, and the rest of the major organs, and we'll wall it off and we'll stuff it in a pack of fat somewhere. So she ended up with two butts, one in the front, one in the back. I'm talking about Mama Yoga. I'm not talking about nobody else. Hello? What you know? The point is, you can fast. It just means to abstain. You don't have to fast to the degree that I did. That was a challenge for me, because I'm a certified foodie, right? But I had to snap my body out of what she was doing. And so I went on and I did that rolling fast for a period of 60 days, right? So Sunday to Tuesday, fast, low water. I made a vegetable broth. I didn't buy one. And if it got to, because I still got to work and run life and handle all the stuff, if it got to the point where I was dragging or my energy was heavy, because on a water fast, you really should sleep. You should not be out here weightlifting and running and doing exercises. And people say you can, but you really should sleep and let the body repair himself, right? So if I got to the point where I was like dragging and my brain was foggy, I would not even trip. Who was judging who? I didn't care. I just went and heated up my vegetable broth, and I drank it and assuaged the hunger beast who was like, Mama Yoga, where's the food? Drank that a little bit and then got on with my day. And I was able to do that for 60 days. So Tuesday, break the fast. Tuesday night, 7:00. Now I'm fasting again from 7 Tuesday night till Thursday morning. Again, and I just did that all week, every week for 60 days. So you can do it. You can start with 16:8. Just get up in the morning, move your breakfast back. Just drink water, move your breakfast back, and then consume something small, and then eat within an 8-hour window. 16:8. You could do 18:6. You could do 24. Just start where you want to start and just don't beat yourself up about it, because eating is what we do. It's survival. The body's not interested in losing any storage, no fat. She's not interested in that. She's like, oh, no, we need this. So it's very hard for this ancient creation known as our bodies to switch to something like that. But if it's not healthy, if your numbers are your BMI, your cholesterol, all of your inflammatory markers in the body are in the wrong direction, then you got to snap. You got to snap your body out of it. And fasting is a way that can help that.
Thank you, Mama Yoga. Thank you for breaking that down. I love the rolling fast breakdown that you made your own. You owned it. You allowed it to be a part of your journey, and you saw the benefits and you worked within it. And I'm glad that you also talked about, like I always say, progress over perfection. When you start adding shame and disappointment and not being able to align and do things perfectly with what you had set or what you wanted to do, those types of emotions also counteract what you're trying to do in your body already. It goes against what you're doing because now your emotions don't align with the physical aspects that you're trying to provide your body in this different space, because you're already doing something different. And when you're doing something different, you got to figure out how to get all of those different aspects of your body in alignment to join you on this new journey, because it's so accustomed to different things. And so speaking of joining, y'all, I got something special for you. So if you've been pushing through pain, wondering why nothing is working or why your energy is always low, this message is for you. Inside of my free training, I break down the 4 lifestyle shifts that help me go from surviving stage 4 endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, and fibroids. Also, inflammatory and hormonal chaos to reclaiming energy, peace, and alignment naturally. So make sure you check the show notes and register for the next training. Mama Yoga! You got yoga in your name. So I really want you to talk about what we talked about earlier when we were saying functionality is the goal. Being able to get up without grunting, stretch with joy, be able to move, reach for the things in the cabinets, and not sit up here and have your whole body protested against you and calling you all types of things. Talk to me about functionality being the goal and what role has yoga played in your healing and energy restoration.
That's wonderful. And all of this discussion is about being empowered, right? It's because you are taking responsibility for your life's journey, for your life's experiences, being empowered. And for me, going back again to coming into contact with the spiritual community, the Osirian community that is my spiritual way of life. I learned yoga for divine connection, not for exercise. It was not sanitized in the way that you find yoga that is being practiced, say, in the gym or what have you. It was unashamedly and, I'm going to use the term again, unmolested by, because we don't want to affront anybody's, spiritual or religious perspectives. It was, okay, yoga, the word yoga means to unite, and it's a union with what? Mind, body, and spirit. And that is how I learned yoga. And I created a practice when I understood that what my contribution to this lifetime is to share what I've learned, to be the teacher who is also the student. I created a practice that was palatable for the school districts here on the East Coast. In 2009, I began teaching yoga in our inner city schools. In fact, no one was teaching yoga here in this region to our children. And so I created the yoga curriculum that was palatable without infusing the overarching spiritual dynamic. I left that up to God to work out, right? So fast forward for me, I came then from Hatha yoga, because there's all types of yoga. Hatha yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Vinyasa. There's all types of yoga. But for me, the best practices are Hatha and Kundalini yoga. And Kundalini yoga, even though I had, put on this enormous amount of weight, Kundalini yoga was still a practice that I could do because the movements are less not energetic. I'm going to say less aggressive. I'm just going to say they're not Ashtanga yoga, which Ashtanga yoga is what Vinyasa is based on. And that form of yoga actually was created, I think, in the 13th century for the male children of the royal palace, because they were so aggressive and, male energy. They was doing this and doing that. The yoga teachers at the time, the gurus at the time, were like, we got to do something about these boys. And they gave them and created Ashtanga, the series of flow and practice we call Ashtanga. They created Ashtanga yoga for them. I am not a royal boy in a palace. I am a royal queen out here in these American streets. So all that hopping and flipping and standing on my head and I should not curse, should I? All that is not what Mama Yoga does, but that doesn't mean yoga is not beneficial. So I'm speaking to the person who is like, well, I can't get my leg behind my head, or I can't stand on my head or do, some of these more really, extenuating types of postures. You don't have to, and for me, the stretch, the older we get, and I'm talking, when I say older, I mean 35 and on, because your whole physiological dynamics change once you hit that 35-year mark, right? 35 and on. The art of stretching the body out, the art of, breathing and holding a particular posture or position is so nourishing for your body, So
And so I
that is
kind of
how it's
want
been
you to
helpful for
share
me.
with us, Mama Yoga, a simple movement, breath, or ritual that we can do right now to kind of connect to our body. And I hope y'all heard it. You said 35 and up. So if you 35 and up, this is your moment to own just this one ritual right now. Try it out and see how it fits in your life. Go ahead, Mama Yoga.
Well, since we are in this posture here, we're seated. The easiest thing we could do is some breath work, right? And a seated posture. So I'm going to sit up nice and tall, and I want you to do the same. You want to sit up and you want to open your hips, right? Oh, Lord, I got too many pillows, too much comfort. Hold on here. My house. It's a million places to sit and be comfortable at my house, right? Okay, so what you want to do is you want to sit up nice and tall, and you want to relax your shoulders down, and you want to make sure that your hips are open, right? That you're sitting fully on your foundation base. Your hands are placed on your thighs, and your shoulders are moved away from your ears. Now we're going to do some breathing technique, and we might even get some upper body movement since we are seated. Okay, so you want to take a deep breath in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. You can close your eyes, breathe in through the nose, and breathe out through the nose. Now this time, take a deep breath in through the nose and hold the breath. And now breathe out through the nose, slowing the breathing down. Breathe in. When you're ready, hold the breath and breathe out. Or hold the breath for 1 to 2 seconds. Just follow that routine. Breathe in and breathe out. This puts the parasympathetic nervous system on alert. And as we stated earlier, continue the breathing. That aspect of our physiology is what heals the body, the parasympathetic, right? And so now you want to take a deep breath in, and you want to breathe out through your nose. Just breathe out. And we'll raise our hands up. Put your fingertips on the front of your shoulders. Keep your shoulders down. And if you have the space, you want to breathe in left and breathe out right as you turn. Breathe in and breathe out. All through the nose. Breathe in and breathe out. 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 And it's a quick movement, like a windmill of the waist, right? This is a Kundalini yoga posture. Breathe. Right. Good. Right. And you're breathing in left, out right.
Now, Mama Yoga, what if you suffer from motion sickness?
You have to close your eyes. You have to close your eyes.
Thank you.
Right?
Needed that tip. I don't know who else needed that one.
So sorry about that, anybody. I don't want nobody to fall over off the side of the boat, right? But I need to finish this, right? So you come back center, breathe in, hold the breath, and now breathe out, relax the shoulders, and shake the hands out, down. If you suffer from motion sickness with the turning, you really have to close your eyes and just keep the breath. And then when you come back center, you breathe in again just to fuel, the brain, make sure the brain has, the oxygen that it needs, and that, you can recenter your energy,
I love that. Thank you, Mama Yoga, for sharing that with us.
Oh,
Drop
you're
it in
welcome.
the comments. Say, did it if you follow along and you did it with us. Mama Yoga, I kind of got to ask you a question now that we just practiced that. What did it look like? How did your program transform the youth in the schools that now have this opportunity to practice your yoga? I know that wasn't originally part of our conversation, but I just want people to know that just because we did an exercise for the 35 plus, because their bodies are changing, you did something that was transformational. And I want us to be able to understand what that transformation looked like, because kids can benefit from yoga, from breathing, because they have a lot that they got going on as well. And so I just want to know, what did that look like for that curriculum in the schools, being able to know that you put those in there? What was it? What was
absolutely it like? So it was a curriculum that was really around really around the social emotional learning skill capacity for the youth, right? And how to de-escalate conflicts, all stemming from using these practices. And the first order of business was to get, like those young boys of the royal palace, get that wayward energy somewhere else. And that's what the movements, the postures, the asanas of yoga did and helped with the children. They had a lot of energy based on diet, based on, activities not being in schools anymore, based on a lack of understanding of the educational institutions of how to incorporate, natural environments in learning, right? And how to help people use their energy in that way. So the first order of business was the asanas, right? Then the second order of business, after we dispersed that energy that the children had, was then a meditative practice, and showing them how breathing can help them calm down. Showing them, we did mindfulness exercises with them that included, of course, we had to get, waivers and everything of who was allergic to what and everything. And at this time, again, this was from 2009 till the current, but the most active was 2009. We were using different essential oils, not on the children, but on our persons, so that when the children came to us, if a child was really upset, they could smell lavender, and that would diffuse, the aggressive or the anger or the upset energy within the children. And then the meditative and mindfulness pieces were really impactful, because one of the things that was really clear, I went to teach a class, and again, I had partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, gotten a 5-year contract with them, and I went to teach a class, and I came around the corner, and I heard two students. These were third grade students, two girls, and one of the little girls was crying, and the other little girl said to her, "Remember what Mama Yoga said? Just breathe. Come on, breathe like this." Now, I did not tell them to breathe like that, but she was doing the best she could. She was like, "Breathe like this." Another little girl was crying, and she was like, I'm listening to them. It's impactful, because these little seeds stay with children. They stay with children. I see the youth that are now, a lot of the children from 2009 are like finishing college, and I see them out at the grocery stores, and they're like, "Oh, Mama Yoga, I'm doing yoga, and it helped me with college and the mindfulness and everything." So, I was not and am not shy about giving them every aspect or component of the wellness of yoga, mindfulness, postures, meditative, and then really just breaking it down. A fully fleshed out curriculum which was created, assisted and created. People assisted me who were PhD educators, curriculum specialists in how do we convey this to the children.
And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm grateful for that, because now you're seeing those seeds that were planted, foster and fortify into something that's so much more beautiful. And now they're adults, and they're still able to hold on to those things that, you taught them. And it kind of goes back to you learning first and now being
That's
able to be a teacher. And I just like how that comes all the way around full circle. So I'm grateful for that. And I was a product of the Boys and Girls Club too. So I was like, oh, we have Mama Yoga in South Carolina coming to the Boys and Girls Club teaching us about yoga and deep breathing. But I love those community partnerships because you just never know who you can actually help in regards to those things. And I tell my students too, in regards to deep breathing, when that anxiety is starting to come across and they're just getting emotional and their body is just making them feel like they're so out of control with it. And that deep breathing is powerful. And I think we don't talk enough about it and give people enough practice around deep breathing for them to understand how it can help with reducing pain, how it can help with calming your nervous system, how it can support you when you're navigating through some very challenging situations that you don't know what else to do, but you can control your breath. And so I think that was really powerful. As we start to kind of conclude, let's talk about menopause. What do you want women in their 40s, their 50s to know as they approach going through this sacred transition?
And it is a sacred transition, you know, it's beautifully put. I love that. So the menopausal space, nobody talks to us about that. You know, nobody, our mothers, you know, the women, elder women in our family, nobody talks about that. The healthcare institutions and the healthcare providers, they don't really talk to you about menopause. You know, folks just want to, you know, put you on some type of pharmaceutical or just tell you things that are not really helpful, right? The one thing that I know, and I want to share with my women who are in perimenopause, which you could be in perimenopause for 10 years. You know, your body could begin the transition. Again, nothing happens overnight. The body could be in transition to the pause for some women 10 to 15 years, right? The lifestyle and diet that you consume is everything. It's absolutely every single thing. You know, if you consume a diet that is highly processed and that is devoid of nutrition, if you consume alcohol, if you consume, you know, any other types of recreational substances, all of these impede a smooth transition through the pause, you know. So the first order of business is to shift the mindset around how you nourish yourself. You know, if you consume a lifestyle of stress and anxiety, this is not helpful, you know, in your menopausal, as your physiological clock changes, you know? So you want to begin to shift those types of dynamics. I know a lot of people, a lot of women are, you know, enjoying the experience of fermented grapes. You know, you see a lot of like these wine clubs and wine groups and all of these kinds of things, you know, and it's really I have to say, unless you have the liver of you know, immense capacity, it really is not helpful. You know, do what you want to do. I'm not saying what people should do and should not do. I'm just saying, if you ask me about health and menopause and how to have a more smooth, you know, transition into, you know, that menopausal life, these are some of the things that cause a rocky transition, right? You also want to make sure that you exercise. Exercise in the body is not only good for the body, but it's good for the brain. You know, depression hates movement.
Ooh, say that one more time.
Depression hates movement. Sadness, depression, heaviness, hormonal changes, all of that is improved by movement. Even if you go for a brisk walk, you don't have to do anything strenuous like me going to CrossFit. You can get out and walk. You can do yoga. You know, that is important. You must move your body. We're designed to move. Earlier, Jovonnie, you asked about, you know, the functionality of movement. And we really talked about yoga. But at this stage, 45, 40 and up, You want to do less pounding of exercises and more functional type exercises. Can you reach and put a box over in the top shelf of your closet? Can you bend down and pick up your grandchildren without a whole bunch of moaning and groaning and grunting? Can you sit and get up without using your arms to help you get up from a chair, settee, or what have you? These are all functional movements that must be kept not just in working order, but they must be kept in excellent repair, because this is what fails you as you age. You know, the science is, did your hip break and you fell, or did you fall and break your hip? Which happened first? So as we get older, we want to be doing all of these wonderful functional movements. Pick your children up, pick your grandbabies up, carry things, all your bags from the grocery store, carry them in the house. Your pocketbook, when you go to the gym, 5-pound weights, your pocketbook weigh more than that, baby. Your pocketbook weighs more than that 5. You can carry that at 8 pounds. Go and pick up weights that's a little too heavy and do 2 lifts and put them down. And do that regularly, and your body will adapt. And you'll have longevity, and your bones and everything, longevity. Mm-hmm.
That was good, Mama Yoga. Thank you for that. And I almost said, I saw like in my head, it might be the teacher in me, a pop quiz. Like, tell us, y'all, how many out of those 3 activities can you do successfully? Can you get up out of the chair without using the armrest? Can you lift and put something in the cabinet or in the top of your closet with no problems?
Mm-hmm.
And can you lift a child? Can you lift a child? I'm going to say a small child, because I don't know if you got grown kids. I don't want you to feel like you're going to fail on that aspect. But let us know, how many out of those 3 things can you do functionality-wise right now and currently? And thank you, Mama Yoga. Yes, we did talk about yoga before, but movement is so powerful. I really enjoy walking. That has really helped me with my hormones. It allowed me to connect with Spencer, my golden doodle. But it just keeps us going. And he's my accountability, because he needs to be walking too. He has health. He has a heart. He needs to be vital. You know, I want him to be with me as long as possible. And so, like, there are so many different forms of movement. But I love that you talked about low impact. And I love that you talked about pretty much strength training. Or it could be resistance training. So if you don't have the weights, you can get the resistance bands, and you're doing the same activity that you're doing. And those resistance is giving you the 5 pounds, the 8 pounds, like even a Pilates bar to be able to lift those things. So there's so many different ways to get moving. But I also love that you talked about depression hates movement. And so if you're in a state of depression or low vibration, get to moving and grooving, get those endorphins flowing, like my mom likes to say. But once you start moving towards a better you, a better state of health, a better state of mind. And you really start going towards the version of you that you really deserve. And sometimes I think, Mama Yoga, people don't know that they deserve to not be in pain, that the pain that they normalize is just a part of their life. But it went back to what you said, your lifestyle and your diet. Change some of the things that's happening in your lifestyle. Find daily rhythms, because you don't know what is just your survival lifestyle rituals and habits, because you don't know any better. But that's the reason why you get to a place when you're tuned into empowering conversations, to start getting ideas and inspiration of what you could potentially try to see and figure out what actually works for you. So Mama Yoga, we're going to get into these quick little rapid fire questions, and I'll end with my last 2 questions, because I've really been enjoying this. So here we go. Fasting in 1 sentence.
Healing. Oh, 1 sentence, not 1 word.
Okay. No, that's period. That's it. Healing. I like it. All right. Best wellness shift after 50.
More sleep.
Ooh, come on,
Mama. Go to sleep. I'm just got to say this. I know it's rapid, but let me just say this. When you go to sleep, when you sleep before 11 p.m., there is a little old lady with a mop and a bucket with a beautiful bonnet on her head that comes in and cleans out all of the corners of your body. That's your parasympathetic nervous system. but she only comes to work when you are asleep. When you sleep, your body repairs itself. So, best wellness health tip over 50, go to bed, mama. Get some sleep. Turn off the TV, put away all them dang on devices, and go to sleep so she can heal and repair.
Y'all drop sleep in the comments if you're someone who knows that you need to better prioritize your sleep
hygiene. That's
yes.
Right. Sleep
All right,
hygiene.
here we go. Food you always come back to.
Girl.
Huh?
Greens. Any kind of greens. Collard greens, mustard greens, kale, greens. I am a greens chick. I just love that type of food. Greens, honey. And I don't even need a fork. I just be pinching it with the rice like I'm true West African, whatever.
All right, last question. Your favorite movement for healing?
Favorite movement for healing is walking. That's my favorite. I love to walk. I love walking. It clears my mind, and I'm out in the sunshine or even in the night in the dusk hours to walk. I love walking.
And don't underestimate the power of walking. Y'all don't have to, like you heard MamaYoga say, CrossFit. It doesn't have to be intense to still be good for your body when it's intentional. All right. So MamaYoga, last two questions. Give some advice for the male role models, the father figures, the girl dads of those who are struggling with period pain, pelvic pain, hormonal chaos. Give some insights on how they could be a part of this support system and their role that they could play, and not just be it's just a girl thing or a woman's thing.
Yeah, to our beautiful men, this ain't the tribe that hate men. We love our men. We need y'all. Y'all are our counterparts, So the suggestions I can make are, pay attention to who she is and what she states she needs, whether you agree with it or not. Just pay attention, if you just like as if you were, you want to, take care of your car. You are noticing all the details in that car that you want to make sure are cared for. It's the same with the women in your life, your woman, your daughter, your mama. Pay attention. And that paying attention to what it is they say they need is the cheat code. It goes a long way, and just, do your best to take care of yourself as well. Because her main concern is not even her own pain. It's you and her children and what's going on outside. And, women focus on the caring of others. So if you are, as a man, as our brother, as our lover, as our male role model in our life, if you are taking care of yourself, getting your doctor, knowing your numbers, exercising, watching what you eat, decreasing whatever substances or whatever that may be harmful to your body, that takes a load off of her because you're taking care of you. So take care of you.
I've never heard that one before. You taking care of you. Now I have heard people like, when you're eating healthier, when you're changing your lifestyle, when you're doing things that better support your body, it in turns allows you to know how to help them, versus if you're good, self-sufficient, and you're taking care of you, that alleviates that, what we talked about earlier, that stress, that aggressive, that I got to keep taking care of everybody else. And I'm not a priority. I'm not number one on my list. And that keeps us in that lower state of health. And so I thank you for that, MamaYoga. All right, last question. If you could have a meal with any historical figure, who would it be and what would y'all eat?
Oh my Lord. I wish I had a prep for this. If I could have a meal
with any historical figure, who would it be and what would y'all eat?
I would have a meal, a historical figure. They need to have passed or something?
No, we making history right now together.
Then I would have a meal with Jovonnie.
No.
No. Let's see. I would have
And we've
a
had our
meal.
meal together.
Yes, we did. We sure
Thank you,
did.
Chef
And more
Mom.
to come. More to come. I would have a meal with Queen Mother Mandela, Nelson Mandela's wife. I would have a meal with her. In fact, it would be a ensemble. You know,
Okay.
it would be Coretta Scott King. It would be quite a few of those very powerful women, and I would have meals with them. And of course, I'd have to have my famous greens and some vegan stuff to eat. And also, I would like to have some South African food, but made vegan style. That's the thing. Whenever we go to any of these places, we be like, well, you could do that vegetarian. And then we get them to not put the meat in it or whatever. But that's who I would have a meal with, because I want to talk to those women about the essence of being a woman who is a leader, not just of a family, but of nation, of people, and how you sustain yourself while you are leading. I would want to talk to them.
Sounds good, Mama Yoga. I knew you was gonna have greens, and I don't know if anybody else would pick up. Greens was gonna be on the plate, and I'll let the vibes flow wherever y'all are, and what other additional food items will be on your plate. But sounds good. But I love what the conversation or the theme of the conversation was going to be, and the women that you chose to have the food with. All right, so Mama Yoga, let everybody know where they can find you. What do you have to offer them? And we'll close this thing on out.
Well, I'm so thankful to you, Jovonnie. Thank you. Y'all can find me on my socials, Mama Yoga Wellness on Instagram. On my podcast is the My Mind, Body, Energy podcast on YouTube, where we talk with you about how to align your mind, body, and energy for your wellness goals, for your entrepreneurial goals. And we have hot takes from the spirit on, latest news and information and things like that. We have our chakra healing program, which is a workbook that will help you move through understanding how the chakras work in the body and how to help align the chakras and get your energy all going in one direction so you can succeed. And we are offering locally, we have our walking stretch program and so many more offerings to come. Thank you.
Come on, walking and stretch. I like that vibe. I want to do more of that. So I definitely love that vibe. But Mama Yoga, you don't have a book coming out?
Well, I didn't want to talk about it yet. Well,
look forward. So don't worry about it, y'all. Stay tuned, lock in, subscribe to her YouTube channel. Make sure you follow her on your favorite social media platform, and be ready to support the next potential drop she has now. So lock in now and be on the lookout for more things to come from Mama Yoga. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast distribution platform, make sure you give the show a rating. But it's Mama Yoga with one M, M-A-M-A. Mama Yoga. All right. So, y'all, this has been an absolute amazing conversation with Mama Yoga. But if you've been listening and thinking, that's me, I'm tired of guessing, tired of pushing through pain, and I know I need something deeper than symptom management, I see you. All right. This is exactly why I created my coaching framework and my M to the third degree healing empowerment formula rooted in mindset, mindful eating, and movement. It's the same approach I used to go from surviving stage 4 endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovary syndrome to reclaiming my energy, healing my cycle, and finally living in alignment. And now I help other women do the same naturally and sustainably. Y'all, it's all about the rhythm and the vibes. So if you are ready to start that healing journey, embrace that energy experience, make sure that you head to the show notes and grab the free training and connect with me as well. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the podcast. It's your Healthy Habits and Lifestyle Coach, Jovonnie. Thanks for vibing with us, y'all.